Hi and welcome back to the Life Transformation Lounge. I am Paul McKenzie.
And I am Vanessa McLean.
And today, for the listeners, we have the privilege of getting an insight into an amazing person's life. Today I'm going to spend some time talking to Vanessa about her life, because I believe Vanessa's life is a remarkable life, well worth sharing with you guys out there listening. So Vanessa, thank you for being here. And first of all, I just want to ask you, what's behind your part in the Life Transformation Lounge?
When you're on your life's purpose, you don't wonder where the tools are going to come from, where the people are going to come from. The universe has a way of bringing you the people that you need to take you to your next level. And that's what I believe the Life Transformation Lounge is doing right now. This is something that I've thought about for a while, but didn't know who to partner with to bring it or to give it wings. And fortunately, this young man, Paul McKenzie, reached out and we shared some ideas. We shared our visions and the mission of how we saw ourselves collectively helping people to transform their lives. And that's why you're listening to us today at the Life Transformation Lounge.
And it's thank you for that, Vanessa. And for many of you that don't know, and perhaps you have seen it, I'm going to get Vanessa to tell me a little bit about, because she's very passionate about It's in Your Story. So I'm going to get Vanessa to tell us a little bit about It's in Your Story, because I believe that stories are the blueprints to our lives. So Vanessa is going to share with you It's in Our Story.
It's in your story, and that is the cornerstone of my life. Let me just tell you a little bit about who I am. I am the daughter of two wonderful people who came from Jamaica in the early 50s. They had a big dream, they had passion, they wanted to create something to leave a legacy, and they were passionate about it. They made a commitment, and when they left Jamaica, they literally burnt their bridges. There was no going back. They wanted to create a new story, and I call my business It's in Your Story, because what you create is what you become. And I knew that they had something in them that I call unstoppable, in spite of all the racism, in spite of all the rejections that they faced when they were trying to find somewhere to live. When they came to this country, they never gave up. And It's in Your Story really found itself looking back on that particular story, where my parents came to an unfamiliar place, made something for themselves, but more importantly, laid a foundation for the children that they had in this country. I wasn't a particular smart child at school, but I did my best. And I never really heard anyone tell me, Vanessa, you're great, apart from my parents or my family. And I went through school. I won't say I was an underachiever, but I knew I could have done more. One thing I did a lot of was talking, much to my teacher's chagrin.
You haven't stopped.
They would say, Vanessa, please stop talking, you're a distraction. And if you have young children, I'm going to say those are the young entrepreneurs. Those are the children who are thinking outside of the box. Absolutely. Those are the children who are about to make things happen. The presidents, they are the CEOs. They are not conforming to a curriculum that's going to set them up to go to college, then to work, and then to, for some people, in the worst circumstances, being employed by the state in a place where they have no choices. I made sure that I wasn't going to go through life being dictated to by people whose beliefs didn't serve themselves, yet alone me, telling me what was achievable when they weren't living inside of me.
That's amazing. So I hear what you say, and so many of us out there can relate to that story of our parents coming over here and having that unstoppable goal, because some of the things that they had to achieve in their short lives were remarkable. I mean, they came over here without a plan, and they had to implement a plan.
They had a 5-year plan, and that was to make some money, set a foundation, and go back home with our children.
Yeah. And many of them died here.
It took my mum 21 years to go back to Jamaica. From the first day she left Jamaica, she was always going back, and it took her 21 years.
21 years. So that's an amazing story that many of us can relate to. So I'm just quite interested in if you get clients who come to you and they have stories that limit them in their lives, how do you work with them around their stories?
First thing I do is I get them, I distract them from the story that they've told themselves or the story that they're constantly hearing. My role in It's in Your Story is to do three things: distract, dispute, and then inspire. A lot of people are waiting to be inspired. They want to find an alternative. They want the answer. But if we can rewrite the story that you've been told, if we can reframe, as much as you talk about, Paul, reframe that story and then inspire them through others' stories, that it's okay. If you just tweet this, tweet this, tweet this, your life can be, but you've still got to do the work.
Yeah, too many of us out there with stories that are not supporting us. And it takes me back to school again, because you spoke about school. And do you know, it was interesting. I read this thing, and some of the stories that children are read in school actually help to enforce limiting beliefs, because they're being read stories of possibilities. And those possibilities are not very... They're possibilities that are only going to lead you into a workplace. They get you prepared for that. So your story is very, very important. And so if clients come to you and they say, I have a story of failure, you're able to change them in some... That's remarkable. So what can clients expect in their lives once they speak to you?
First of all, I always share my story, where I was. This was a child who really lacked confidence, but it took somebody else's belief in me before I realized, well, Vanessa, you've got something in you. I'm going to share this part of my story because I think it's important for everyone to understand where you are today will not determine where you will be in maybe 5, 10, or even 15 years from now. Back in 2006, I remember being involved in a network marketing program. And for that particular program, there was a keynote speaker. And I remember flying out to Dallas with a group of other people to hear this person. And what really struck me was the similarities that this man had to my mother. The only difference was he was doing this on a global stage, speaking into people's lives, changing their mindsets, making them feel better about themselves. In fact, he always says, you have greatness in you. But my mother would do the same thing. And how she did that was from her bedside, because that phone which she had, that was her microphone. And I always thought to myself as a young child, I'd like to be like my mother when I get older. She's got all the qualities of a hero. She is my heroine. But I didn't have the voice. I chose to regress. I chose to step back. I chose to play it small. And this is what I encourage my clients. Be big, be bold, be you.
Be you.
Do the things which most people feel they can't do, so that you can have tomorrow, which a load of people will never, never have. Being in Dallas, seeing Les Brown, the world's leading motivational speaker, on stage for the first time, because I'd heard him and watched him on YouTube, but being in his presence, I knew that man has to teach me how to change people's life. From the moment he opens his mouth, he's got you. And I wanted to have that impact. I didn't want to be like him, but I needed to learn, how do you do that?
You've left me speechless now, Vanessa. Such passion for what you do. It's very rare to come across a person with such passion. So this Les Brown experience, that changed your life?
That changed my life because I saw him on stage. And what was remarkable was at the end of that event, there were people that were rushing to get their autographs. And I remember standing back and I thought, I don't want your autograph. All I want you to do is to teach me how I can change people's lives by telling my story and telling it authentically. It took another 7 months because I remember in 2007, Mr. Brown was having a cruise Your Way to Greatness. It was a Caribbean cruise, and
That's
we
a
were
great
there.
name.
Yeah, he was the keynote speaker in one of the seminars on that cruise, and it was interesting to see so many people showing up on the cruise to have fun and frolicking. But we were there to empower ourselves, to improve our lives. On that particular occasion, I remember sitting in the seminar in the front row, and Les Brown doing what he does best. This is a life transforming moment when he pointed at me and says, I see greatness in you. I'd never heard anyone tell me that, I said earlier on, only my parents. But when someone can see something in you, that you don't see in yourself, and I call that word potential, and you are unlimited in potential. When someone sees that and recognizes it, do not back off. The reason why I went on that cruise is because I knew my future had to be changed. Before I went on that cruise, I had to ask myself, can I afford this? But that was the wrong question. The question I really needed to ask was, what will happen if I don't? And I made sure that I paid for that cruise. I went on that cruise, and that was the beginning of this speaker and the real foundation for where It's in Your Story is going.
So blood, sweat and tears to pay for the cruise. I wish I'd gone on that cruise. What an amazing name for a cruise.
Cruise your way to greatness,
Cruise
not
your
run
way
your way
to-
to greatness.
Just cruise towards
your
greatness.
way to greatness.
Because in life, many of us believe we have to run towards greatness. And it's about laying that plan that enables you to cruise your way to greatness. And am I correct if I say that you went on to become one of Les Brown's platinum speakers?
It was that very cruise. Commit yourself. When you're in the presence of greatness, when you're in the presence when you know that you are great, you've got to commit to it. And that's when I said yes to Mr. Brown. I want you to mentor me. And I became one of Les Brown's platinum speakers. And it is an investment. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. Don't ask how much it's going to cost. There are people's lives that you will change because of your story. When you know how to tell your story, when you know how to impact people's lives through your story, then you know that this is your life's purpose. This is my life's purpose. I get up every day excited because I know I'm going to help to be the catalyst to change in someone's life so that they can look at themselves, to see more, to be more, to do more. And when I can do that every day, I know I'm living my purpose. Mr. Brown allowed me to see myself bigger than I am by telling me you have greatness in you.
And I have to say, Vanessa, I can see that greatness inside of you. In fact, if you were here in the studio today, you would see the side of her eyes leaking with greatness. Such a phenomenal thing to see when somebody understands their purpose and is actually living that purpose. So, Vanessa, how do people get in contact with you? Because right after that story, I want everybody listening here today to check out Vanessa's story online. I mean, it's an amazing story. And it is such a lifting story in order for you to not only listen to a story, but in order for you to use it in your life and move forward. So how do people get in contact with you, Vanessa?
Before I tell you how to get in contact with me, let me leave this thing with you because it's so important on your life's journey to decide why you're here and what your purpose is in life. Had I not said yes in 2007 to joining Les Brown as a mentee, being coached by him, I wouldn't have had the opportunities, some of the opportunities that have come my way. One of the biggest things that have happened to me since being in this powerful group of speakers is to co-author a book with Les Brown, Fight for Your Dreams, The Power of Never Giving Up. And there will be days when you feel like giving up. I encourage you highly to get a copy of this book, Fight for Your Dreams, The Power of Never Giving Up. It is an Amazon #1 bestseller. There are 30 other co-authors in this book, and we share our stories passionately. We share it from a place of authenticity. We show you the wounds, we show you the joys, we show you the pain, and we also make you aware that what you're going through today, this too will pass. It hasn't come to stay. If you want to get a copy of the book, you want to find me, go to VanessaMcLean.com. VanessaMclean.com. Get a copy of that book. It's going to be one of the best investments you make for yourself.